Take a slow breath in and gently breathe out. There is nothing you need to do right now, nothing you need to think about, nothing you need to remember. This is a quiet moment made only for rest. Tonight you are invited to listen to a love story from history, a story filled with longing, devotion, distance, and gentle emotion. A story meant not to excite the mind, but to calm it. As you listen, you may notice your thoughts becoming softer, slower, less demanding. If your mind wanders, that is perfectly fine. You don't need to follow every detail. You don't need to stay awake. You can simply let the words pass through you, like a quiet breeze moving through the night. This story is about Napoleon Bonaparte and Joséphine, two people whose lives were shaped by love, ambition, and fate. Their romance was written in letters, felt across long distances, and carried through years of separation. But tonight, we are not here to rush through history. We will move slowly, gently, at a pace that allows your body to relax and your breathing to deepen. You may listen with your eyes closed, or half open, or not listen closely at all. Sleep can arrive whenever it wishes. The world before their love. Before Napoleon became a name known across Europe, before battles and crowns and empires, there was a quieter world, a world of candlelight, handwritten letters, horse-drawn carriages moving slowly through narrow streets. In the late 18th century, France was a land of uncertainty. Old systems were falling apart, new ideas were beginning to rise, and people lived their lives without knowing what the next year might bring. In this world lived Joséphine de Beauharnais. Joséphine was born on a distant island, far from Paris. She grew up surrounded by warmth, nature, and quiet beauty. Her early life was gentle, but her adult life would not remain so. She married young, she became a mother, and she experienced loss. Her first husband was taken from her during the French Revolution, and Joséphine was left alone, with children to care for and a future that felt uncertain. She moved through society with grace. She learned how to survive with charm, patience, and softness. She became known for her calm presence, her warm smile, and her quiet strength. Meanwhile, in another part of France, a young man named Napoleon Bonaparte was growing restless. Napoleon was intense, focused, driven by a deep inner fire. He was not born into great wealth. He did not move easily through society, but he carried within him a powerful ambition. Where others spoke softly, Napoleon thought loudly. Where others accepted their place, Napoleon imagined more. He believed in destiny, and he believed that something greater awaited him. Yet despite all his ambition, Napoleon felt deeply alone. He longed for connection, for understanding, for a love that could calm the storm inside him. A quiet meeting. When Napoleon and Joséphine first met, there was no thunder, no dramatic moment, just two people standing in the same room, two lives briefly crossing. Joséphine was older than Napoleon, more experienced, more familiar with loss and uncertainty. Napoleon was immediately drawn to her voice, her calm presence, the way she listened. To Napoleon, Joséphine felt like warmth after cold, like stillness after chaos. He began to write to her, again and again. His letters were full of emotion, full of longing, full of need. Joséphine, on the other hand, read them slowly. She cared for Napoleon, but her feelings moved at a gentler pace. This difference between them would shape their entire relationship. Letting the night settle in. As this story unfolds, you may feel your body growing heavier. Your shoulders may soften, your jaw may relax. The world outside this moment can wait. There is no urgency here, only a story told softly under the quiet watch of the night. In the next part, we will listen to the early letters Napoleon wrote to Joséphine, words filled with devotion, written by candlelight, sent across long distances. For now, allow yourself to rest. Let the rhythm of this voice guide you gently forward. As the nights passed, Napoleon found himself thinking of Joséphine more often. In quiet rooms lit only by candles, his thoughts returned to her again and again. He was not a man who expressed emotion easily, not in conversation, not in public, but when he wrote, his feelings flowed freely. His letters became a place where he could speak without restraint, where longing was allowed to exist. He wrote to Joséphine as if distance were unbearable, as if every hour apart were heavier than the last. In his words, we hear not a general, not a future emperor, but a man deeply in love. He wrote of missing her voice, of imagining her presence beside him, of counting the days until he could see her again. Sometimes his letters were filled with warmth and devotion, at other times, with impatience and fear. Napoleon loved intensely, and when he loved without pause. Joséphine received these letters quietly. She would open them slowly, read them at her own pace, sometimes smiling, sometimes thoughtful. She cared for Napoleon, but her heart moved differently. Where Napoleon rushed forward, Joséphine paused. She had known loss before. She had learned that affection could disappear as quickly as it arrived, so she guarded her feelings carefully. Not out of cruelty, but out of experience. Napoleon sensed this distance, and it made his longing grow stronger. In one letter, Napoleon wrote of his restlessness. He described nights without sleep, moments where his thoughts refused to settle. He spoke of Joséphine as a calming presence, even when she was far away. Her memory, he said, was enough to soften his mind. He imagined her reading his words, imagined her holding the paper in her hands, imagined the quiet space around her. To him, these imagined moments were as real as any battlefield. His letters were not carefully structured, they were not restrained, they were honest, sometimes repetitive, sometimes desperate. He spoke of love as something overwhelming, something he could not control. Joséphine's responses when they arrived were gentler, shorter, still warm but less urgent. She spoke of daily life, of small moments, of simple thoughts. She offered comfort, but not intensity, and this difference between them created a quiet tension. Napoleon longed to be the center of her world. Joséphine preferred balance. As weeks passed, Napoleon's letters grew more frequent. He wrote whenever he could, between duties, between responsibilities. Writing became his way of staying close. When he could not see Joséphine, he wrote. When he could not hear her voice, he wrote. When sleep refused to come, he wrote. In his words, we sense a man trying to hold on to something fragile, trying to keep love alive across distance. Joséphine, meanwhile, continued to live within her social world. She attended gatherings. She spoke with friends. She moved through life with quiet grace. She did not withdraw, but she did not rush forward either. Her affection was real but measured. Napoleon felt this imbalance deeply. At times it made him anxious. At other times it made him more devoted. He believed that love, once proven strong enough, could overcome any distance. As you listen to these words, you may notice your breathing becoming steadier. The rhythm of the story does not ask for attention. It simply exists. You do not need to remember every letter. You do not need to follow every feeling. These moments are meant to pass gently, like quiet thoughts before sleep. Napoleon's longing, Joséphine's calm, their letters moving slowly through time. In the next part, their relationship will change. Marriage will arrive, and with it, new distances, new hopes, and new silences. For now, allow the softness of this moment to remain with you. You may rest, you may drift. The story will continue, whether you are awake or asleep. Marriage did not arrive with celebration and noise. It arrived quietly, almost gently, as if it were another letter folded into time. When Napoleon and Joséphine married, their lives did not suddenly become calm or complete. Instead, love settled into something more real, more complex and more fragile. For Napoleon, marriage felt like certainty, like an anchor placed firmly in the ground. He believed that love, once sealed, would finally feel secure. Joséphine felt affection, warmth, and companionship, but she also felt the weight of change. Marriage meant belonging to a man whose life was never still, whose future was uncertain, whose ambitions reached far beyond the walls of any home. Their early days together were brief. There were moments of closeness, quiet conversations, soft glances across rooms, but duty was always nearby, waiting. Napoleon was called away almost immediately. War did not pause for newlyweds. Responsibility did not allow space for longing. When he left, Joséphine watched him go with calm eyes. She did not beg. She did not cling. She had learned long ago that departures were part of life. Napoleon, however, felt the separation deeply. Distance returned to him like an old ache. He wrote to Joséphine constantly, from camps, from unfamiliar towns, from moments stolen between responsibilities. His letters spoke of devotion, but also of fear. Fear that absence would weaken their bond. Fear that silence would grow between them. He asked for reassurance, for words, for signs that he was still held close in her thoughts. Joséphine replied when she could. Her letters were kind, measured, filled with everyday details. She spoke of the home, of social visits, of quiet routines. Her words offered stability rather than passion. And Napoleon read them slowly, carefully, searching for more. He wanted intensity where she offered calm. He wanted urgency where she offered patience. Still, love remained, in different forms, in different rhythms. Joséphine lived her days surrounded by society, yet often alone in thought. Napoleon lived among soldiers, yet always returning to her in his mind. Night after night, he imagined her presence beside him. He imagined her breathing softly in sleep. He imagined the warmth of shared silence. These imagined moments became his comfort. Joséphine, in her own quiet way, missed him too. She missed the certainty of his attention, the focus of his devotion. But she understood distance differently. To her, love did not demand constant reassurance. It existed even in silence. As time passed, the gap between them grew familiar. Not painful, but present. They learned to live with it, to write through it, to wait within it. And as you listen, you may feel the same quiet distance settling in. Not loneliness, but space. A space where thoughts soften, where the body grows still. You do not need to follow every step of their journey. You do not need to hold on to every word. Let the story move gently forward, like footsteps fading down a quiet road. In the next part, distance will deepen. Longer separations will arrive, and with them, longing that stretches across time. For now, allow this moment to rest. You may feel heavier, slower. The night continues to hold you, and the story will remain, whether you are listening or already drifting into sleep. Distance does not arrive suddenly. It grows slowly, quietly, almost unnoticed. At first, it feels like space, then like silence, and eventually like something that settles between two people without asking permission. As Napoleon remained away, the days began to stretch. Weeks passed, then months. Letters continued to travel between them, carried by hands they would never know, moving slowly across land and time. Napoleon waited for these letters with impatience that never softened. Each message from Joséphine felt like a brief return home, a familiar voice reaching across emptiness. He read her words again and again, sometimes aloud, sometimes silently, as if afraid the meaning might disappear if spoken. But between the lines, he sensed something he could not fully name, a calm that felt distant, a steadiness that did not match his urgency. Joséphine wrote with kindness, with warmth, with care, yet her words rarely carried the same weight as his own. Napoleon filled pages with longing. Joséphine offered balance, and this difference began to shape the space between them. At night, when camps grew quiet and fires burned low, Napoleon lay awake. Sleep came slowly to him. His thoughts circled around Joséphine, around her voice, around the life they were not sharing. He imagined her evenings, her quiet movements through familiar rooms, her calm expression as she moved through society. These imagined scenes brought him comfort, but also unease. He feared becoming distant in her world. Joséphine, meanwhile, lived within routines that slowly replaced absence. She woke each morning. She attended gatherings. She spoke with friends. Life continued, as life often does. Her affection for Napoleon remained, but it did not consume her days. She believed in patience, in time, in allowing things to unfold naturally. Where Napoleon fought distance with words, Joséphine accepted it as part of life. This was not indifference, it was survival. She had learned not to anchor her peace entirely in another person. And yet, on quiet evenings, Joséphine felt the absence too. In moments of stillness, Napoleon returned to her thoughts. She reread his letters. She noticed the intensity of his devotion. At times it felt overwhelming. At other times, deeply touching. She admired his passion, even if she could not mirror it. Their love existed in this imbalance. Not broken, not fading, but uneven. As you listen to this story, you may feel the same gentle imbalance within yourself. A slowing, a drifting. Thoughts may come and go without effort. There is no need to hold on to them. Napoleon continued to write. He wrote of missing her presence, of longing for reassurance, of wanting to feel close again. Joséphine replied with steadiness. She offered comfort without urgency, affection without demand. Time passed, and with time came familiarity. Distance became something they both understood, even if they experienced it differently. Napoleon grew stronger in the world, more respected, more visible, but internally he remained restless. Joséphine remained composed, rooted in her environment, surrounded by people, yet quietly reflective. Their letters carried love, but also revealed the spaces between their hearts. And those spaces, rather than breaking them, slowly reshaped them. As the night deepens around you, this story asks nothing from your attention. You do not need to remember who wrote which letter. You do not need to follow every emotion. Let the rhythm of distance soften your thoughts. Let the passing of time feel gentle rather than heavy. In the next part, words will travel from places of danger and uncertainty. Letters written under pressure, letters shaped by fear, devotion, and longing. For now, rest within this quiet separation. Your body may feel heavier, your breathing slower. The story continues, calmly, patiently, waiting for you whether you are awake or already asleep. Time passed, and the world around Napoleon grew louder. Battles followed one another. Orders were given. Maps were studied beneath dim light. Yet even as the noise of war surrounded him, Napoleon's inner world remained fixed on Joséphine. From distant lands, from unfamiliar places filled with uncertainty, he continued to write. These letters were different. They carried the weight of danger, the quiet awareness that nothing was guaranteed, that life could change suddenly, without warning. He wrote at night, when the camp grew still, when the voices faded, when only the sound of wind and distant movement remained. In these moments, Napoleon felt most human, most vulnerable. He wrote to Joséphine not as a commander, not as a rising figure of power, but as a man reaching for something familiar, something safe. He spoke of exhaustion, of long days and restless nights, of moments when he felt surrounded by people, yet deeply alone. Joséphine became his imagined refuge. He described her presence as calming, as grounding, as something that brought him back to himself. He wrote of fear, though not always directly, fear of loss, fear of distance growing too wide, fear that time might change what he loved. These letters were filled with devotion, with repetition, with urgency. He needed her to know that she was still central in his thoughts, even as his world expanded. Joséphine received these letters from afar. She read them in quiet rooms, sometimes alone, sometimes surrounded by the gentle sounds of life continuing around her. She sensed the strain in his words, the tension, the need. She understood that Napoleon's love deepened in absence. That distance sharpened his emotions. Her responses remained steady. She offered reassurance, but carefully. She did not mirror his intensity. She softened it. Joséphine believed that love should soothe, not consume, and so her letters carried warmth, but also calm. She spoke of ordinary things, of daily routines, of familiar faces, of moments that grounded her. In doing so, she offered Napoleon something different, not passion, but stability. Napoleon read her replies slowly. He clung to them. Sometimes they comforted him. Sometimes they left him wanting more. He longed for words that matched his own intensity, for declarations that erased doubt. Yet Joséphine's affection spoke a different language, a quieter one. As days turned into weeks, Napoleon's longing grew heavier. He began to feel that love, like power, required certainty, and uncertainty troubled him deeply. He wrote again and again, sometimes within the same day. as if each letter were an attempt to close the distance just a little more, as if writing could bridge the space that reality would not. Joséphine noticed this shift. She felt the pressure gently settling into their correspondence. She cared for Napoleon. She valued him, but she did not wish to lose herself within his intensity. She believed that love needed space to breathe, even across distance. At times, she waited before replying, not to cause pain, but to remain true to her own rhythm. Napoleon noticed the pauses, and in those pauses, his mind filled with questions. At night, sleep came even more slowly. He imagined Joséphine's silence as absence, as distance growing wider. Yet even in doubt, he continued to love deeply. His letters from the battlefield became reflections of his inner state. They carried both strength and fragility, confidence and vulnerability. They revealed a man shaped by ambition, yet softened by longing. Joséphine read these words with care. She recognized the depth of his devotion. She felt touched by it and at times overwhelmed. She responded with kindness, with reassurance, with reminders of affection. But she also remained grounded in herself. She did not let fear guide her responses. She trusted that love, if real, would endure without constant proof. As you listen to this part of the story, the pace may begin to slow within you. Thoughts may drift more freely. You may notice moments where words blend together. That is natural. This story does not ask to be followed closely. It exists to create a rhythm, a calm repetition, like waves moving gently in the dark. Napoleon's letters continued. Joséphine's replies followed, back and forth, across the land, across time. Their love existed in ink and paper, in pauses and waiting, in what was said and what was left unsaid. And slowly, quietly, the distance between them became more than physical. It became emotional, not through loss of affection, but through difference. Difference in how they experienced love. Napoleon felt deeply through intensity. Joséphine felt deeply through balance. Neither was wrong. They were simply different. As the night holds you, this difference softens into background, like distant footsteps fading away. You do not need to decide who loved more. You do not need to judge. Let the letters pass through you as sounds rather than meanings. As time continued its quiet movement forward, something subtle began to change. Not in the world around Napoleon, where his presence grew stronger and more commanding, but within the space between him and Joséphine. The letters still arrived. The words were still there. Yet the feeling behind them was no longer the same. Napoleon sensed it first, not as a clear thought, but as a quiet discomfort, a sense that something was shifting slowly, gently, without announcement. Joséphine's letters remained warm, caring, thoughtful, but they carried a distance that Napoleon could not ignore. He read them carefully, searching for reassurance, for closeness, for signs that her heart still leaned toward his with the same intensity. Sometimes he found comfort in her words. Other times he felt unsettled. Joséphine wrote with calm acceptance. She did not ask for constant reassurance. She did not express fear. She trusted the passage of time. To her, love did not weaken through silence. It matured. Napoleon struggled with this idea. For him, silence felt like absence, and absence felt like loss. He began to question himself. He wondered if his devotion was uneven, if his need was greater than hers. These thoughts did not arrive loudly. They drifted in quietly, often at night. Moments before sleep, moments when the world softened. Joséphine, in her own quiet way, sensed his unease. She did not confront it directly. Instead, she offered steadiness. Her letters spoke of reassurance without urgency, of affection without demand. She believed that love should not feel like pressure, that it should offer peace. Napoleon wanted peace, but he did not know how to find it in distance. His days were filled with responsibility, with decisions, with expectations. Yet his nights belonged to uncertainty. He imagined Joséphine moving through her world without him, comfortable, composed. This image both soothed and troubled him. He admired her strength, but feared being unnecessary. Joséphine remained grounded. She continued her routines, her social life, her quiet reflections. She cared deeply but did not let worry dominate her thoughts. She trusted in what existed between them. As weeks passed, this quiet imbalance settled into familiarity. Not conflict, not separation, just difference. Difference in how love was felt, how it was expressed. As you listen now, you may notice your thoughts slowing further. There is no tension here that needs resolution, only movement. Slow, gentle. Napoleon continued to write. Joséphine continued to respond. Their words crossed paths in the quiet space between nights, neither fully understanding the other, yet both remaining connected. This part of their story is not dramatic, it is soft. It is the sound of distance breathing, of love adjusting to time. And as this adjustment unfolds, you are free to let your attention drift. You do not need to follow each feeling. You may simply rest within the rhythm of uncertainty. Let it pass like a quiet tide. In the next part, power will rise more visibly. Napoleon's world will shift. And with that shift, the nature of love will change again. For now, allow this calm uncertainty to settle. Your breathing may deepen. Your body may feel heavier. The story remains quietly unfolding, whether you are listening or already asleep. As Napoleon's presence in the world grew stronger, the shape of his days began to change. Power did not arrive all at once. It gathered slowly, like weight added over time. More people listened when he spoke. More eyes followed his movements. More expectations rested quietly on his shoulders. With this rise came distance of a different kind. Not the distance of land and travel, but the distance created by responsibility. Napoleon's thoughts were divided now. Part of him remained deeply connected to Joséphine. Another part was pulled outward, toward decisions that could not be delayed. He still wrote to her, often late at night, when the world finally fell silent. His letters spoke of duty and fatigue, of long hours and heavy choices. Yet beneath these words, his longing remained. He still reached for Joséphine as a place of calm, as something familiar in a world that no longer felt simple. Joséphine sensed the shift as well. She read his letters and noticed the change in tone. They were still affectionate, still sincere, but they carried a new weight, a sense that Napoleon was becoming someone larger than the man she first knew. She did not resist this change. She understood ambition, she understood growth, yet she also understood what power could take away. Time, presence, ease. Joséphine remained steady. She continued to offer warmth without demand, support without pressure. She did not ask him to choose between love and ambition. She believed that love should not compete. Napoleon, however, felt the tension within himself. He wanted both: connection and control, affection and authority. At times, he felt that love grounded him. At other times, that it distracted him. These thoughts did not weaken his feelings for Joséphine. They complicated them. He began to see love not only as comfort, but as something that required balance. Joséphine watched this transformation from a distance. She saw his name grow more powerful, his role more defined, and she adjusted quietly. She did not chase closeness. She allowed space. Her affection did not fade. It softened. As the days passed, their letters reflected this new rhythm. Napoleon wrote with determination mixed with longing. Joséphine replied with calm understanding. They spoke less of absence and more of acceptance. This was not distance born of loss. It was distance shaped by growth. As you listen now, you may feel a similar settling within yourself, a sense that nothing needs to be held tightly. Thoughts can loosen, attention can drift. The story does not rush. Napoleon's world expanded. Joséphine's remained rooted. Their love adapted quietly without announcement. It became something less urgent, but more enduring. As the night continues, allow this quiet transformation to pass through you. No conflict, no resolution, just movement, slow and gentle. In the next part, power will reach its height, and with it, difficult choices will begin to form. For now, remain here, breathing softly, resting deeply. The story continues, whether you are listening or already asleep. The conflict now reaches a deeper emotional layer, where every choice made by the characters carries consequences that can no longer be ignored. The galaxy is not just divided by armies and fleets, but by belief, fear, and memory. What makes this part especially powerful is how it slows down just enough to let us feel the weight of what has already been lost. Victories no longer feel clean. and defeats linger far longer than before. Each character is forced to confront not only the enemy in front of them, but the version of themselves they have become throughout the journey. At this stage, hope is no longer loud or heroic. It is quiet, fragile, and sometimes barely visible. The story shows that hope does not always come from winning battles, but from refusing to give up even when the outcome seems predetermined. Characters who once relied on strength or skill begin to understand that endurance and belief matter just as much. The force, which earlier felt like a clear source of power, now becomes something more complex. It reflects inner balance, doubt, and the constant struggle between fear and faith. The antagonist's presence feels heavier than ever here, not because of constant action, but because of psychological pressure. Every move they make sends a message. Resistance has a cost, yet this is exactly where the story becomes most human. The heroes are no longer idealized figures. They make mistakes, hesitate, and question whether their sacrifices are worth it. This vulnerability is what connects the audience to them. We are not watching legends anymore, but individuals trying to survive impossible circumstances. Relationships evolve significantly in this part. Trust is tested, sometimes broken, and occasionally rebuilt in unexpected ways. Dialogue carries more meaning, with even short exchanges hinting at unresolved tension and shared history. Silence is used effectively, allowing emotions to settle without being explained. These moments remind us that Star Wars is not only about grand conflicts, but about personal bonds strained by war. The atmosphere grows darker, yet it never fully abandons light. Small acts of courage stand out more precisely because they occur in such bleak conditions. A single decision, a refusal to follow orders, or a moment of compassion can shift the emotional direction of the story. This reinforces one of the saga's core ideas, that the smallest choices can shape the fate of the galaxy. As this section closes, there is no sense of full resolution. Instead, there is momentum. The characters move forward not because they are certain of success, but because standing still would mean surrender. The audience is left with a quiet tension, an understanding that the final outcomes are approaching, and that whatever happens next will be shaped by everything endured up to this point. This is the calm that exists not before peace, but before the final storm. The final movement of the story carries a sense of inevitability, as if every moment that came before was quietly pointing toward this conclusion. Nothing feels rushed, yet nothing can be delayed any longer. The galaxy stands at the edge of change, and the tension is no longer about whether something will happen, but about what kind of ending will emerge from all the sacrifice, pain, and resilience shown so far. This part is defined by emotional weight rather than spectacle. Every scene feels layered with meaning, shaped by the memory of previous losses and the fragile hope that still refuses to disappear. The characters now move with a deeper awareness of consequence. They understand that victory may not look like survival for everyone, and that some choices will demand irreversible costs. What makes this section powerful is its honesty. There is no illusion of a perfect ending. Instead, the narrative embraces uncertainty and shows that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Each character faces a final internal reckoning, forced to decide what they truly stand for when there is no guarantee of reward. The Force reaches its most philosophical expression here. It is no longer portrayed as a tool to dominate or overpower, but as a reflection of balance, acceptance, and understanding. Characters who once sought control now realize that letting go can be the greatest strength. This shift redefines power itself. True power is shown not through destruction, but through restraint, empathy, and clarity of purpose. The contrast between those who cling to control and those who embrace balance becomes sharper than ever. The central conflict unfolds with emotional intensity rather than constant action. When battles occur, they feel purposeful and heavy, not flashy or excessive. Every clash represents more than strategy. It symbolizes belief systems colliding. The antagonist's arc reaches its most revealing point, exposing motivations rooted in fear, loss, and an inability to accept change. This does not excuse their actions, but it adds depth, reminding us that villains are often shaped by the same emotions as heroes, only guided by different choices. One of the strongest elements of this part is how it handles legacy. The story asks what remains after war, after legends fall, and after symbols lose their original meaning. Characters reflect on those who came before them, questioning whether they are destined to repeat the same mistakes or capable of forging a new path. This reflection is not nostalgic, but instructive. The past is neither glorified nor rejected. It is acknowledged as something to learn from, not something to live inside forever. Moments of silence play a critical role here. The absence of dialogue allows emotions to surface naturally. A look, a pause, or a shared understanding between characters can carry more impact than any speech. These quiet scenes emphasize how far the characters have come and how deeply they have been changed by the journey. The audience is invited not just to watch, but to feel the weight of every decision alongside them. As the story approaches its conclusion, resolution comes not in the form of absolute answers, but in clarity. Characters may not get everything they want, but they gain understanding. The galaxy may not be instantly healed, but the cycle of endless conflict shows signs of breaking. Hope survives not as a dramatic triumph, but as a steady presence, grounded in lessons learned and choices made. The closing moments leave a lasting impression precisely because they are restrained. There is no attempt to overstate the ending. Instead, the story trusts the audience to recognize the significance of what has occurred. What remains is a sense of completion that feels earned, shaped by struggle, reflection, and growth. The journey ends not with certainty, but with possibility, suggesting that the future will be defined not by destiny alone, but by the courage to choose differently than before. As the final chapter begins, everything feels quieter, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. There is no urgency left to prove, no enemies left to chase. What remains is reflection, the slow settling of emotions after a long and exhausting storm. The story no longer pushes forward with force. Instead, it gently drifts, allowing the listener to rest within its closing moments. This calm is not emptiness, but fulfillment, shaped by everything that has already been endured. The surviving characters move through a changed world, one that still carries scars, but is no longer defined by constant conflict. Cities are rebuilt slowly, not as monuments to victory, but as symbols of continuity. Life returns in small, ordinary ways. People walk unfamiliar streets that once echoed with fear, now filled with cautious hope. These moments remind us that peace is not a single event, but a process, built quietly over time. Memory becomes the dominant theme here. The characters remember those they lost, not with overwhelming grief, but with gratitude and respect. Loss no longer feels like an open wound. It becomes part of their identity, shaping who they are and how they move forward. The story does not attempt to erase pain or pretend that healing is complete. Instead, it shows that acceptance can exist alongside sorrow, and that both can coexist without canceling each other out. The force, once a source of tension and struggle, now feels distant and serene. It is present in subtle ways, in intuition, in calm understanding, in the ability to let go of what cannot be changed. Those who remain connected to it no longer seek answers or power. They listen instead. They understand that balance is not something to be achieved once and held forever, but something that must be respected and maintained with humility. One of the most powerful aspects of this final section is its sense of release. Characters who spent so long carrying responsibility finally allow themselves to rest. They are no longer defined by titles, prophecies, or expectations. They are simply individuals, shaped by experience, free to choose how they wish to live. This freedom is portrayed not as excitement, but as peace. It is the reward earned through endurance rather than triumph. There is also a quiet acknowledgement that stories never truly end. Even as this journey closes, life continues beyond the frame. New generations will rise, unaware of the full weight of what came before them, yet benefiting from the sacrifices made. This realization brings comfort rather than sadness. The purpose was never to be remembered forever, but to create a future where remembrance is no longer necessary for survival. The final scenes unfold slowly, almost dreamlike. Familiar places appear one last time, not to evoke nostalgia, but to show how they have changed. The transformation of these spaces mirrors the internal transformation of the characters themselves. What once felt heavy now feels lighter. What once felt uncertain now feels open. The world is not perfect, but it is no longer broken beyond repair. As the story draws to a close, it avoids dramatic conclusions or definitive statements. Instead, it settles into stillness, the kind of stillness that comes after acceptance, when there is nothing left to resist. The listener is left with a gentle sense of completion, as if closing their eyes at the end of a long day, knowing that rest has been earned. In its final moments, the story offers a quiet truth. Love does not always change the world in loud, visible ways. Sometimes it works silently, shaping choices, softening hearts, and guiding people toward better paths without demanding recognition. That is the legacy left behind. Not power, not domination, but understanding. And so the tale ends the way it was meant to be heard, softly, patiently, without urgency. The universe continues, breathing steadily, no longer afraid of its own future. The last feeling is not excitement or sorrow, but calm. A calm deep enough to allow sleep to come easily, carrying the echoes of love, loss, and hope into peaceful dreams.